Hello once again. This is the skeletal remains of tubalcain, your YouTube shop teacher, and this is episode number 65 of my This and That series. I haven't done one of these in a long time, and as you can see, the items, the gifts, and the correspondence has built up, and in fact is overwhelming. My apologies to those of you that have sent things in and I have lost them or not mentioned them. I try my best, but I am sometimes overwhelmed because now I have limited energy now that I'm in my skeletal stage. So let's get started and see what I can cover today. This is July of the year 2021. Thank you to my friend David in jolly old England for sending me a couple of his latest stickers. You might know him better as Myford Boy, making great model videos and printing videos and especially foundry videos. So thank you, David. I think most of the free world knows that I now have a video course out on the South Bend Shaper, but speaking of shapers, let me show you something here. I've had a lot of requests from people as to where can you buy a shaper. Longtime viewer Sam Schublum from Kansas City sent me a picture of his road shaper. He says he needs room. It is for sale. It has a almost brand new motor, I think he said. But I'm going to give you in a second here contact for him, but do not contact him after August of 2021 because either it'll be gone by then or he won't want to be bothered on a long-term basis. So here is his contact if you want a used Rhodes shaper. Remember, I used to have one of these and have several videos on them. Contact Sam at this email address. He also has his cell phone number there, but I'm extremely hesitant to give out anyone's phone number because I don't want mine given out. You probably know by now that I have a 4-part video out on how to make a cutaway of a Ford transmission, and I tell you what, I barely finished painting that, and I received from Tony Perillo down in Texas a comfort grip handle that fits on Rust-Oleum spray cans. Too late for this project, but thank you, Tony. I'll use it on the next one. Coming soon to a theater near you is a 2-part video that I made where I visit the defunct Beverly Shear Company in Chicago. It was quite an event as I plowed through the old patterns and drawings, and it was like archaeology for industry, so watch for those videos too. My most sincere apologies to all of you out there for some of the terrible videos that I've made lately. Case in point, where I wasted your time and my time making these stupid patterns to show how to make fillets, which no one in the world does or cares about anymore. I will try to do better and find things that are interesting to you. I think that the Ford transmission is a failure as well. But I don't start out to make bad videos. Hollywood doesn't produce a movie to be bad. It's just that they really screw up sometimes, and so do I. So I'm sorry, and I'll take your suggestions on better topics, but they need to be broad topics that cover information for a lot of people, not specific things like that. I've talked quite a bit lately about the wonderful Rose Index, and now there are home versions here, the hobbyist version made of aluminum at a more modest price. But just recently I had a visit from Tim Rosenthal, inventor and patent holder of this real neat device. So I'll show you a couple pictures of him and his boys. We had a nice afternoon and meal together. Say hello to Tim, inventor of the Rose Index, and there we are holding the little devices. He is from Wisconsin, and those indexes are made in the USA in his shop. There we are again, and there we are with his boys. And the one wearing glasses, I believe he's 13 years old, is quite a computer guru and a wonderful conversationalist. So I had a great time with them. Rhetorical question for you. What happened to the coin shortage a year ago or so? It was all made up, it was all nonsense, and how could there be a shortage of coins? There are billions of them. So I don't know what they're trying to pull off on us, and I don't know who it is that's trying to do it. But even Walmart was in on it, remember? This is the return address on an envelope that I received recently, and I'm thinking, great. This is a cease and desist order. There already is a tubalcain company, and they're after me. But what actually happened is that many of you watched my tubalcain video. This is all about moving vices and chucks and things like that. And there's going to be one more video on this, part 5, by the way. But the day that the final part was published, that envelope came, and there was another set of decals. Beautifully made. And so what I did here is I made a sleeve so I could slip them over and, yet display both of them, because I didn't want to hide the other one either, but that's how I'm going to display the new tubalcain. I really like that logo with the crane on there. Isn't that awesome? Quite creative. So thank you very much, Doug Pulver of Clearwater, Florida, for designing those decals and sending them my way. Well, I'm beating this subject to death, but this tubalcain has come a full circle here. But remember, this was my original hook. And once I found out that it was a bull lead, I was quite ashamed of it, and will never use that again. But in the meantime, I bought one of these with the safety latch on it, which I do like very much, and a swivel up here. Remember I talked about that. It's got to have a swivel. Well, in short order, Dane Hendrickson from Apache Junction, Arizona sent me this beautiful hook. Never seen one like it. The top part here, this bail, is made in Canada, and the bottom part in the United States. But look at this safety latch here, super heavy duty. There isn't any, these are sheet metal and can easily be bent. This one has to be lifted up, taken off of its safety position, and swung over, and then you can't forget to put it on because it'll snap like a mousetrap. How awesome is that? That is bronze. It has a swivel. It has a safety latch here so the nut can't come off. So thank you very much for that, Dane. Let me show you the device, a picture of the device that this originally came off of. I'm not sure you can buy one of these, maybe from the big yellow book. That hook is off of an Ingersoll Rand air cable balancer deal that cost $5,000. Dane Hendrickson's handle on YouTube is AZ Engineered. Jay Miller from down Texas way sent me this picture shortly after I published the first cutaway of the Ford transmission, and he was in a local plumbing shop and they had this hydrant cutaway on display, so he took a picture. Thank you for that. And you know what? It's quite a ubiquitous item, but I would venture a guess that 90% of people have no clue how a hydrant actually works. I guess they just think it's like a faucet or a source of water to put out fires, but it's quite a well-engineered and intricate device. And you know what? They got a setup on there, so if you hit it with your car, it's not like in a cartoon where it's going to shoot into the air like Old Faithful. So that's all fake. Thank you, Theodore Stoutenberg, for sending me several pictures of a beautiful radiator cap, sometimes called a mascot. It's cast and it looks like a butterfly. Quite old. I think he knows I like these mascots. You probably remember from the last episode that Roger Taylor, the old shop teacher from California, sent me the Peterbilt hood ornament, but he sent me a couple other things, and one is this beautiful little, he calls it a T-bevel. I guess I thought they were bevel squares, and he used to give these away to friends and people at seminars and so on, but it's just small enough to go on your keychain, so that's pretty awesome. Thank you, Roger, for these gifts. And he also sent to me, and I'm not going to put it on what is it, because these were fairly common years ago. I think I still have several of them. It's called an Eiffel Pliers, and they came originally in a kit, I think a canvas bag, with several different jaws. And they've got a bit of a parallel motion as well, because in a way it's a rack and pinion. So that's pretty awesome. I think I would call this a patent pliers. They used to advertise these in Popular Science. Thank you, John Lester from out Virginia way, for sending me this little 1/4-inch drive Sturtevant beam type torque wrench. And it reads in inch ounces. Not for putting Cummins engines together. Perhaps you know John Neugbauer, I think you pronounce it, from New York. He goes by the name Scout Crafter. He has a lot of good videos on restoring tools. But anyway, I received this envelope, and in it was this brand new old stock Echo knife blade. Now, he managed to buy a whole, a dozen or more of these on eBay or someplace, if I can get it out of here without slicing myself. Quite a nice looking shiv, but no handle. That was a popular brand years ago of kitchenware. I don't know if it still is. But I think that his idea was to get people to have a little competition making handles and making a finished knife. And someone already did post one on YouTube. I forgot who it was, I believe with a micarta handle. I'm not a knife maker. I don't know if I'll ever get around to it, but I do have this piece. I believe it's Cocobolo, which would probably make a fine handle if I knew how to do it. Very hard, dense wood. So thank you very much, John. Check out his channel. You might remember that not so terribly long ago I did a long series on this set of swivel vice jaws. One of the concerns was losing or misplacing this pin. This one is magnetized, and a lot of people had different ideas on how to make it. This is by L.A. Price. I showed this before, and his is held in place with O-rings staked in there. But let me show you some pictures of another awesome design that I never thought of. These pictures were sent to me by Michael Cantu, and he has a channel called +8 Precision. But notice how these two pieces are pinned together. There's one he made with a ball, but I did that as well. Notice the bevel on there. I'm not sure I put a bevel on mine. Here's another look at that, how it's made. And probably no more difficult to make than the one that I made. Thank you, Michael, for that. The only thing that I see that could be a problem here is that it looks to be fairly thick from this point to this. But then again, maybe mine is too. I wanted you to see this. Now this is a design patent. It's not a regular patent. And there's the man's name, Frischhauer, and this is from 1940. And it is in regards to this design, and I'm talking about the cabinet here, not the South Bend lathe that it is mounted on. So he must have sold the rights to build that cabinet, and I had one of these for a while. They probably made 10,000 or more South Bend lathes mounted on that type of tubular cabinet with drawers and the underdrive. And again, there's the patent attorney and the patent holder. South Bend lovers might like this. Kyle Watts of Oklahoma sent me a couple things here. One is a decimal equivalent and ruler, and I forgot what they call that when you change the angle, so thank you for that. And he also sent this Allison chuck mount, and now that's a 1 1/2 by 8, so that'll fit Atlas lathes and Logans and South Bends and probably many others, but it uses a relatively rare collet here I've never seen before. I'll show you a picture of that in just a second. And I did mount this on the machine, but and I will in a minute here, but it won't be operational because I'm missing at least one piece that fixes this onto the headstock of the lathe. But it doesn't use a drawbar. And if I remember correctly, that some brands of this, as you tighten it, it causes the workpiece to be pulled out to the right rather than pulled in to the left. So if you're using a stop on a turret, if you understand what I'm talking about here, it doesn't back the work away like typical drawbar collets do with the lever way on the left. This patent is from 1944 when the war was raging. There's the patent number. And notice this little piece right here that fixes the attachment onto the lathe. And here's a cutaway of it along with the collet. Look at the shape of that collet, and like I say, I have only one, and that's a 7/8, so I probably never will find any. Let me stick this on the lathe real quickly just so you can see how it fits up. So here it is, temporarily mounted onto the Atlas Craftsman 12-inch lathe, and there would be some kind of holder for this, probably mounted right about here, so that this wouldn't spin around, it would be fixed. And you would open and close it just by moving this lever. Thank you for that, Kyle. Hope I can put this to use someday, find more collets. Do you remember in a recent episode where I talked about papers for rolling tobacco cigarettes and how embarrassed I was to buy these? But I'm going to kill this subject. I'm going to beat it to death right now, I believe. But I don't know if I ever mentioned why we sometimes use these, but since time immemorial, machinists used cigarette papers as a spacer, kind of like we use feeler gauges, but in general feeler gauges don't go down much below 2 or 3 thousandths, and when they do, they're very delicate and subject to being dented like what you see here. But if you want exactly 1/1000th of an inch, typically this was what a machinist used. And I went through the embarrassment of buying these. Well, now here's what I really want to say. So thank you very much to Stu McCabe of the United Kingdom. So he sent these 5 different packages of cigarette papers all the way from England, and it probably cost him a fortune and had to pay duty on it and all of that. But the idea here, and he said he had to go to several sources and had some embarrassment over there too, because, you know, if you bought 5 packs of these in one place, you know, what do they think of you? They'd probably call the police, the bobbies over there, I guess. But he said that some of these are thinner than others. I'm not really interested in having them thinner or thicker. I want the 1/1000th. So, but let's go ahead and measure some of these. I already did a little preliminary on that and didn't see really too much difference. So let's do that. Thank you, Stu. So this is the original paper that I bought with much chagrin myself a month or 2 ago. And you can see that this is 1,000th, and it looked like half a 10,000th over. But I'm going to call this, for all intents and purposes, 1,000th. So this one is micron, and they're extra long. I think that's if you really want to get stoned bad. This is embarrassing. But even though it's a micron, it's really, well, we're going to call that 11/10,000. So just a little bit over 1,000th. Don't let this confuse you, because this is reading to 4 places. Now let's measure this one. They seem to be a little more brown, and it's raw. This is strictly raw, never been cooked. Feel like I'm on a cooking show. And that too is just a hair above 1,000. So having measured 3 or 4, they really are all the same, or darn near the same for all intents and purposes. We're just going to call them 1,000th thick for the purposes of measuring and shimming and all that that you might do as a machinist. So hope you found that interesting. And I have 10 lifetime supplies of papers here. This is Leroy Starrett, founder of the Starrett Tool Company and inventor of the combination square. Why am I telling you that? And by the way, he had more than 100 patents, but somebody said that he was like a 50th level in the Masonic Temple or something like that. And taking a look at this logo, let's compare it to, and here's the logo of the Masonic Temple, Freemasons or something like that. I don't know anything about this stuff. But anyway, what somebody said, did you ever notice the similarity between the Starrett logo and this logo? And I didn't, but somebody brought that up, but maybe it's irrelevant, but maybe that's the basis for this beautiful logo. And just a reminder, in your free time, if you have any, go to this site called HEAP, where you will find this page. It's Mr. Pete's project page, all kinds of ideas for projects and full access to all of the drawings, working drawings, if you need projects for your home shop. Well, it's 6 hours since I started this video, so you can see these things take time. This was a long video, and I covered a lot of ground, but I still got a bunch of things on the list that I did not cover. Have to hold them over. Hope you enjoyed the video and hope you watched all of it. Be sure and look at the description of every video, because sometimes I post information there. There is no other way for me to correct a video if there's a mistake, and there's probably hundreds of them, other than to put it in the description. It is not possible with YouTube videos to go in and make a modification or correction without taking the entire video down and re-editing. Stay tuned for a few still pictures at the end, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching.